But we've known each other. It was in the thick of COVID that I ran for school board for the second time. And it actually is the third time. And I won it this past time. Everything that I was associated with was closed. My church, the YMCA, Rotary, everything. My business was open, and I was able to get out and campaign, which when you live alone, you do anything to see people. But anyway, I came by to see Keith at his office, and we've been forthright with each other ever since we met. And he said, "Why are you doing this?" And the main reason is I wanted to help our school system and be a part of it again. And your career has been nothing but going straight up. And I congratulate you on the upcoming deal with Washington County, which is where you grew up. So it's a wonderful capstone to your career, and best wishes. Thank you for being here.
Well, I remember the first time I met Dr. Perichin. I was in an interview, and I kept thinking, this guy's got an answer for everything. And so anyway, we ultimately hired him and got to know him through the past, this 4.5 years has flown. 6.5, see? But hey, he's done some wonderful things for this school system. There was even, at one time I thought, man, just forget it, the school, it's not going to go, okay? But he kept bulldogging, and I mean that in a good way. And, I applaud that. And some other things that he's done. And we've become good friends, and I applaud him on his new position in his home county. And we're going to miss him. I'm going to miss him. And he helped me through a tough time also. I'll never forget that. But he's been great for our school system, and it's been a pleasure working with you.
So probably the first time that I met Dr. Perigin, we were fixing to do interviews. And he come in a Plymouth Neon, I think it was.
It was a Mazda. It was, no. What was that car? Isaac's car? It was
some little car, and he's needing the muffler fixed on it. And I told my brother-in-law, I said, I think that's Keith Perigin. And so that was the first time I met him or seen him. We didn't really talk because we're going to hire a superintendent, and he's one of the candidates. I ain't going to talk to him. But from that point on, we got into the interview process, and being the chair at the time, we had a lot more conversation than the rest of the board did, and we become great friends over a period of time, and I really appreciate that. I think so we kind of charged him with a couple of things, and one that really consumed his time is, how are we going to build a new school? How are we going to get that done? And here we are in the middle of that process. It was quite a long process. We had a breakthrough COVID, which brings to the next thing I think that he did that he wasn't charged with, but we stayed open during COVID. Only 4 school systems in the Commonwealth did that, and that was under his leadership. I know we had a whole team that worked on that, and he kept moving the line with the health department, thank goodness, so that we could be open. But as a board and as a superintendent and as faculty and staff, we knew the safest place for our students to be was in our buildings. The home life that they had, the nutrition, all those factors. We had to have our students back in the building. Whatever it took to do it, that's what we was going to do, and he drove that. Now I lost my third point. The other point that we kind of charged him with was, Bristol Virginia Schools had kind of been making a name for themselves in the Commonwealth, through the Department of Education and through Richmond, and we said, how can you up our game in that, in no short words, and wow, did he do that? We feel as a board that if Bristol is relevant, Southwest Virginia is relevant. And so we charged him to do that, and he did that as well. And I think the other big thing that he's done for our system is for our employees. I'd been on the board from 2010 till he came in 2016, 2017. And, our big deal was we want to pay more, but we can't figure out a way to do that. And when Dr. Perigin came, we found out a way to do that. We always paid well on the end. If you stayed with us 30 years, you were going to end up with a good retirement. But if you started out with us, you were on the low end. And we've been able to close that gap to where we're one of the better paying school systems beginning and end. And I appreciate that. That allows us to attract the best, the brightest and the best. So I appreciate that. You're just up the road. You're still with the coalition. That's another great thing, that you've done while you're here. And, you're still advocating for us because Southwest Virginia is all part of that coalition. So wish you the best. All right. We'll take a few minutes. We got some cupcakes and some drinks. If you'd like to say a few words.
Let me first say that all those things are really, really nice. However, the real reason that I've gotten every single job that I've ever earned, kept every job that I earned, is my wife, Amy. She truly is my better half, probably my best half, and she keeps me grounded.
She can cook.
She can cook. That's how I keep the job. She helps me get on the front end, and then she cooks and helps me keep the jobs. But truly, without her loving support and belief in me, all those things that we've been able to do together as a board wouldn't have happened because she's my rock. I will tell you, I don't know that I'm a great superintendent, but I'm a good hirer and I'm a good firer. And I know how to surround myself with the right people. And all those things that were just mentioned that have been accomplished in the last 6.5 years, stop it. Is because of the team that we've assembled. And look at there.
Look at any of you all.
So, the new school, that was great, but that happened because our whole team came together, and then at the end, our whole community came together around that, and our kids are going to have one of the nicest schools in not only Southwest Virginia, but in the entire Commonwealth of Virginia. And so that's awesome. But I'll tell you, that is not what I view as our greatest accomplishment together as a board. You did hit on it. We have the very best pay scale in Southwest Virginia. We are very competitive in Northeast Tennessee. And you mentioned about being able to recruit the best. It also helps us retain the best. And this is a hard job, and we have put our money where our mouth is and put it in people. And that's because of your leadership and because we've been able to work together as a team. And Steve mentioned, I helped him, and I think I may be a good hire and fire, but I'm also a good helper. And so when you get the right people around and you put a good team together so that you can open school during COVID, and you have the courage amongst yourselves to make it happen and the support from the board to make it happen. All that stuff doesn't happen in isolation. It happens because we all grabbed a hold of this beautiful school division, and we wanted it to be the best it could be, and we worked towards that goal. and it's really nice to hear y'all say those nice things, and I wish I could take credit for them. But really, it's Gary and Megan and Jennifer and Tammy and Stephanie and Angel and Jeff and, the whole, and, BVEA and our board and our staff. I mean, it's all those things working together towards the common goal of being the best that we can. So I appreciate, I've grown so much as a person and a leader in Bristol, and that's because y'all believed in me. And so I appreciate that, and we'll continue to work on your behalf through the coalition and other advocacy. But anyway, with that being said, let there be cake.
Hey, one more thing, and I'm still under the fog of anesthesia. But one of the main things that you did that impressed me more than anything was keeping our school open during COVID. We were one of 4 in the whole Commonwealth of Virginia, and to me, that's a tremendous accomplishment when everybody else was hiding behind a tree.
Again, that we had a great team.
Yeah.
We had a great team.
Let's have some cupcakes.
The cupcakes are for everybody, not just the poor.
When you say board docs, you're talking
Item 2A, Superintendent's Report. Maybe I'd better wait.
I'm good.
All right, Dr. Perigin.
Me too. So I know this by memory. I think I sent this particular photo to everybody, but this was actually a week and a half ago at the new school. Obviously, every week you get the weekly update and you can see that progress happening. But it looks like they've even got more of the roof on now, but as you can see, we're under roof on both wings, and that kind of gives you an idea of just how large the 100,000 square foot building is. And so that's over the library, or the media center, I should say, and you'll see by looking down through the rafters, you'll see that our media center is going to have lots of open, airy window space. And then what you're looking at there, I'm as proud of what's going to go there as I am the entire school project. But that's where we're going to have between a $500,000 and $750,000 fully inclusive playground that all of our children can play, grow, learn together side by side. And so that, as you can see, that's going to be a great space for that fully inclusive playground. If you've been by or even driven down Interstate 81, go ahead.
What are the boxes on the roof?
That is set up for the AC units. That's the platforms for the AC units. Rooftop units. Yeah. And so if you've been by or even been down the interstate, you'll see a lot of the brickwork is done.
Around the back now.
It's coming around the back side of it now, about halfway up on that wing. And even the decorative areas, you're starting to see the decorative areas come together. The one piece, and it's really kind of, I hope they get it done before the end of June, but they've stopped on one corner in the front, which is where the bricks from the previous schools that will be consolidating are going to go. So I don't know what it's going to look like just yet, but we know where it's going to go because you can see they've went up and then they've stopped. So Virginia Intermediate School will be built on the cornerstone of Van Pelt and Washington Lee and Stonewall Jackson and Highland View. So great progress there. You can see the road they're about ready to start putting some gravel down and get a topping of pavement on it. So making great progress. A good segue from the new intermediate school and going back to one of the things Mr. Alva said earlier, Bristol and Southwest Virginia are relevant. Richmond cares what we have to say and is impressed by the things that we, and when I say we, Bristol and all of Southwest Virginia are doing. And so this Saturday, Secretary Gadara is coming down to visit us in Bristol. I don't know if the media knows about that yet, Mr. McGee, but if they release it, you'll be the first to know since you don't already. But anyway, so we're going to give Secretary Gadara and her staff a tour of Virginia Intermediate School, and then we're going to go over to Van Pelt and have a roundtable discussion with educational leaders from all over Southwest Virginia so we can help tell the Bristol story, but also tell the Southwest Virginia story as well. So we're excited about that visit. I will also tell you, we put something out on social media. We have been recognized as a Common Sense District. You'll see the banner in front of the board here. First of all, I love that we're a Common Sense District because there's not enough of that out in our community and our society today. But let me tell you what a Common Sense District is. Common Sense, a national nonprofit organization dedicated to helping kids and families thrive in a world of media and technology, has recognized Bristol, Virginia Public Schools as a Common Sense District. This is a testament to its unwavering commitment to providing students with secure and forward-thinking educational environments. This recognition validates BVPS's dedication to leveraging technology for learning and life. To earn the Common Sense District designation, at least 75% of the schools in a district must possess the current Common Sense School Badge. However, BVPS has surpassed this requirement with every school in the system having earned the designation of a Common Sense school. This accomplishment is a testament to the district's collective commitment to delivering quality digital citizenship education across all grade levels and subject areas. Earning recognition as a Common Sense District shows your community that your district is committed to providing safe and innovative spaces for students to thrive as they harness the potential of technology for learning and life. By embracing technology and its potential for enhancing education, BVPS empowers students to become confident digital citizens capable of thriving in an increasingly interconnected world. Again, I will give this board credit for us earning this designation because your vision of providing a 21st century learning environment for all of our kids, putting your money where your mouth is and funding emerging technology specialists, allowing our educators to be innovative while remembering that the fundamentals of reading, writing, and arithmetic are still what matters. That helped us to earn this designation. So awful proud of Jeff and the technology staff and all the staff in our schools for earning this designation. And then finally, I would just say two things that I didn't mention when I made remarks earlier. I think I've had a really good argument with everybody on this board except my sixth grade teacher because I know better. I did not mess with her, but I do think that in disagreement comes amazing things because when we can disagree with each other and take the good from both arguments and put them into the final solution, I think we're just better as a result of it. And so I would encourage you and your next superintendent to not be afraid to disagree with each other. We don't always have to agree. We don't always have to have 5-0 votes. But I think that collective willingness to disagree has helped our school division become better. And I will say that, our team over the last 6.5 years came in with a bang. One of the very first things, and people said I was crazy, is our schools were dirty. And that was another challenge that the board gave me, is to get our schools cleaned up. And very early on, we decided that we were going to get rid of the contracted services and bring our custodial services in-house. And even though we're not perfect, our schools are much cleaner. And that was a huge, huge shift and a lot of risk on the front end. But we took it, and we've been very successful with it. Yay. And then obviously, there's been a lot of explosions in between, but kind of ending this 6.5-year tenure with a bang too, with the notification a little earlier in the month of $7.5 million grant to help offset the cost of building a new school from the citizens of Bristol, Virginia, and that $7.5 million is going to be huge. So we started with a bang, and we're ending with a bang, and I know there's plenty more bangs in the future. So thank you very much.
Thank you. So on this, the Common Sense District, so did we apply for that, or?
We were made aware that this designation was available, and there was an application process that we had to go through. And after Logan Childress and Jeff took the lead on working with our schools to get that done, the schools got the information turned in, and we got one, then we got another, and over the course of a few weeks, all six schools earned the designation.
All right. Any other questions? All right. Everything's still on schedule?
Yes. Yep, everything is on schedule. You gave us approval to go ahead and start using some of that construction grant money before it was actually in the bank, and so that helped them start moving the pond. They have, as long as weather continues, and weather becomes less of an issue now because most of everything's under roof. And so really the only thing that could potentially cause us to have a slowdown from this point forward would be a supply chain issue or a labor shortage. But because most of the outside work is complete now.
Good deal.
Good question.
Thank you. All right. Item 2B, discussion of scheduling June called session meeting.
Mr. Chairman, obviously we are still waiting on the state of Virginia to approve a budget. We do not know when that's going to occur. One of the holdups, according to the money committees in Richmond, has been that we had a debt ceiling issue at the federal level, but that's been alleviated, and so Governor Youngkin has called for the money committees to come back together and approve a budget. It still may be later in the month of June. I would anticipate that after the primaries on June 20th, that something could happen very shortly thereafter. And so we need to be ready to come back. I know we got a lot of vacations scheduled, but if we could get at least 3 of the 5 to be kind of on a call that last week of June. We don't know which day it is yet, but just kind of be ready so that we could call a meeting to approve our budget and get that finalized before year end.
So let's just talk about that just a second. The last week of June, I'll be in town. I'm not.
Good.
We're supposed to leave for Kansas as soon as possible on the 30th, so if we could do it not the 30th, that'd be my preference, but if we need to wait, that's fine. Otherwise, I'm free all
We
week.
have 3 at least, for sure.
So we'll just have to see when they approve
Well, and
budgets.
if it is the 30th and we're on the road, I'll just call in.
Okay.
And we're prepared, we think, for any scenario. But unless we get a scenario that they've not talked about,
Right.
we're ready for a 5% raise if that's what it is. We're ready for a 7% raise if that's what it is, and any combination in between.
Okay.
So as long as they don't surprise us, we should be ready.
Okay. So we'll just wait. We'll wait and see, and we'll call that when we have to.
Yes, sir.
Item 2C, discussion of office space for Virginia Intermediate School.
Mr. Ritchie, as he's coming up, this is just a reminder. We're presenting on 2 topics that are pertinent to transition to a consolidated school system. Gary, it's his month to share 2 of his topics.
Okay.
All right, I will be very brief. In regards to the office planning, last fall, we met with all the administrative staff, the directors and administrators, to discuss office space needs, and we began brainstorming that took place to develop those office space needs. And actually, we created a list of things that we felt needed to be in the office space. This is an example. I blew up the blueprint of the office space, and here this blue sheet of paper actually was one of the renderings of the brainstorming session that we had to talk about what our needs were. Then administrators were surveyed in regards to how they wanted the office to be set up, and there were decisions that were made early on. This was last year in regards to locations of specific areas, including the reception area, the principal, the assistant principal, nurses area, and conference room. And by the way, as we met with principals, there were differences of opinions. I never thought that would have been so difficult in trying to hash that out, but we worked through that. And then recently we came back again and just had another conversation to make sure everything appeared to be, making sure that nothing had changed, and to discuss these other spaces. So we know where the receptionist area, where the secretary's located, where the principal's located, and so forth, but we wanted to talk about these other spaces. So after doing so, we had conversations with some of our key stakeholders like Highlands Community Services and Communities in Schools to ensure that we had adequate space planned for them. So, and they felt like we were in good shape. Since then, we have had additional discussions with some central office staff primarily, that might free up additional space in the office space. For example, one example is the cool-down room. The cool-down room being in the office may not be the best space for that. And so we've talked about maybe the behavior specialist office. They need a private place, but it might actually be better out in the school. So, which actually speaks even better to the fact that we are very confident that we have the space that we need for all of the different office spaces. So if anybody has any questions, that's kind of where we are, and I feel like we're in a pretty good place with that.
Any questions or comments?
Are we getting up to look at it? Because I have a question if not.
If you,
Where do we have the English language learning classroom space or class space or resource space or whatever? What's the plan for that?
It would possibly be, I'm not sure. There are resource rooms throughout the school.
Okay.
So I could not pinpoint that definitely, but there are several spaces.
I think
that are
it's in
available.
Section B, Room 2.
There you go.
Okay. So the plan would be for them to be situated in a resource room as opposed to office space up front?
Yes, most
Okay.
definitely.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
We will, that'll be a top, I shouldn't assume. Mr. Ritchie will be assigning the July person to provide a presentation, but at some point, so that you know that we're staying on track with transition, that'll be another topic of discussion. Where are the title reading rooms? Where are the title math rooms? Where are the special education pull-out rooms? And so you'll have a report on that sometime in the future, including the ELL.
Thank you.
All right, item 2D, discussion of master schedule development for Virginia Primary and Virginia Intermediate.
Right. So about a month and a half ago, a survey was sent out to all of our certificated staff in elementary schools, gathering feedback on the grade level and the subject in which they would prefer to teach. So we just wanted to get an idea. And also in that survey, we asked, did any have plans to retire? Did any have plans to not transition to one of the new schools? Only 2 out of all of our staff did not respond to the survey. I sent out 2 requests to respond to the survey, and 3 teachers did indicate that they had plans to retire or they would not be making the transition to the new school. Ms. Jones, 2 different times now, fairly early last year and just recently actually, she sent out a list of the anticipated number of teachers needed to fill the positions at the respective schools, which will be helpful as we begin building that master schedule and thinking about the slots for each grade level. And a master schedule team is being assembled now, and plans are for them to begin meeting this summer to begin building that master schedule. And so I've sent out invitations to all of those members of the committee, and they have all responded that they would be willing to serve. We have considered contracting with an expert in building master schedules. There is a textbook that Dr. DeNaberga gave me that it is a real textbook, and it's on master scheduling. And I have been reading through that. And actually, one of the authors of that textbook, Dr. DeNaberga, reached out to see if he might be able to be a part of our discussion, but he is not available, I think, until like October 2024 or something. It's way out there in the future. So anyhow, we still may seek someone to come in and help us with that, but I feel very confident. Just recently, I sat in with, there's a scheduling committee at Van Pelt Elementary, and they had a beautiful group of that, just representatives from all different sections, and they are working on building their pull-outs and their push-ins and all of that, which would be things that we would be doing as well. So we are in the early stages of that, but I feel like we are right on time, and my hope is by the end of summer, we will be getting much, much closer to having that developed. Does anybody have any questions?
Let me just add one critical piece to that. When we come back for the June budget board meeting, we would anticipate having a recommendation for leadership at those 2 schools, because who's the principal at each of those schools really need to have a lot of input into building that master schedule. I know it sounds early to name those principals as you're going into August of 2024, but those are the folks that need to be making these decisions.
Good. Any questions, comments? All right. Thank you, Mr. Ritchie. All right, item 3A, public comment. Don't have any cards. Just come right on down.
Sign up, so.
Okay.
First off, I would just like to say thank you to the board for your leadership and your policies this year. We cannot be successful as a school district without your all's leadership, and as you all know from all the accomplishments we have done this year, we were very successful. So thank you all for another successful school year. I would also like to reflect back to you the words that Dr. Perigin used. Disagreements make amazing results. For Dr. Perigin leaving to go to Washington County now, you will have someone else to have new results with besides me. So on behalf of the Bristol, Virginia Education Association members, we would wish to thank you for your 6.5 years of tireless work that you've done for us in our district. We are sure that your leadership and time here at BVPS will serve you well in Washington County, and we look forward to seeing the successes that you bring to them.
Can I translate that? He knows that I'm going to work on their salary scale, which will make Tammy work on their salary scale, and so it's just going to up the ante as far as getting the Bristol, Virginia Public Schools salaries up. Is that the translation? Okay.
All right. Anybody else?
I know we shouldn't talk back in public comment, but it's my last meeting.
All right, item 4 is consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes. All right, item 5A, approval of ARP Act ESSER local plans for the safe return to in-person instruction and continuity services.
Mr. Chairman, have you ever seen a sillier topic? The pandemic is now over. I know, that is the pandemic. Can I first dismiss my wife? She's sticking around here, and I don't.
Yes.
Get out of here. See, look at her. She's so supportive. She was even going to stay for all this. So the pandemic is over. It's been downgraded to anything? It's just over. Okay.
It's just done.
But-
Well, you know who signed the declaration in the Commonwealth, I'm just going to steal the mic here for a second, is our new health commissioner, Dr. Karen Shelton, who
I
got
should
to
ask
sign that order ending the public health emergency pandemic. Anyway, carry on.
Well, she must not have sent that memo to VDOE because they told us we had to approve this plan. Our VDOE didn't read it. So, and we checked. I mean, this memo was sent out in mid-May, so we are afraid not to remain in compliance, but we know that this is, even according to this code, it's the last time we have to approve this. So just want to let you know that we are not asleep at the wheel. We know the pandemic is over, but it looks like this is still statutorily something we need to approve.
I'll make a motion for the approval of the ARP Act ESSER local plans for the safe return to in-person instruction and continuity services.
Second.
Motion and second. Any questions or discussions? Ms. Jones?
Yes.
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 Yes. All right, item 5B, approval of grading scale.
Mr. Ritchie, as he's coming up, I will tell you that I'm embarrassed a little bit because I didn't realize this, but I'm also a little shocked that we did not have an official school board policy in regards to grading scale. Each school set their own policy, and it was very consistent, but we have not had a policy until the one that Mr. Ritchie is recommending to you tonight.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Perigin. So this is a brand-new policy, and actually this discussion came up last month about consideration of going to a 10-point grading scale, which we believe is consistent with what many divisions are doing now, and it gives our students a leg up when they are applying for scholarships and so forth. I did have conversations with principals and directors about this policy, and one thing that I did do, I thought it made sense the impetus of building this policy was the 10-point grading scale, but the realization that we did not have one at all. And so I looked at the report cards that we're currently using K through 12, and that's where this additional information came from. So it is consistent with what we're currently doing. The only change, quite frankly, is the 10-point grading scale.
Do we have a motion?
I make a motion that we approve this grading scale.
Second.
All right, discussion?
I got a problem with it. We're just changing the ruler on the grade scale, and we're not really teaching any better. And we're trying to comply with what other schools are doing, and I'm not sure that that's the right direction to go.
I had a question we discussed previously about when this was going to be implemented for our juniors, well, our seniors have graduated now, but are we starting this grades 6 through 12 in August? Is that the plan?
I think we will have to have conversations with
Okay.
administration at the high school
Okay.
to develop those plans that will not penalize students.
Okay.
We'll have to do that carefully.
And would-
Yeah, I
would we
bet-
anticipate that would only include, would that include our juniors and seniors, or just our seniors, or we don't know until we have more conversations?
Probably we'll look back all the way to this rising sophomore class, freshmen coming in, because, sophomores could be taking potential classes that have an impact. But that will happen either in the July or the August meeting before we start school. This takes care of the grading scale. The next step is to look at our valedictorian, salutatorian, class rank policy.
Okay.
So I think to
Which would be a great interview question.
So, kind of to Frank's question there, we're not really conforming to those around us to make things easier for our students. When they're competing for scholarships, they're being penalized because of our grading scale. Everybody needs to be on the same, play under the same rules and have the same opportunity for those scholarships. And I think that's what this allows us to do, is for our students to be on the same field, follow the same rules.
Well, it's up to our division to let people that are offering the scholarships understand that we have a stricter grading scale than anybody else, and that needs to be taken into consideration. An A at Virginia High School is different than an A at Tennessee High School. And I think if we are going to maintain a sense of integrity of what we're doing, we would keep what we got and do all we can to make those people that are offering scholarships understand that this is a stricter grading scale.
I'll just say again, I think I said it last month, so apologies for the repetition, but, I went to grades 6 through 12 in 4 different schools in 2 different states and 2 different countries, and then when I was in college, I was always on a 10-point grading scale, so never in my life was I on a grading scale like the one we have here. So to me, this seems like, I see what you're saying about it being more strict, but I think we're unnecessarily an outlier. I've always experienced a 10-point grading scale, and it just seems to make a lot more sense, and I think it's just easier to say an A is an A is an A, instead of you have to keep in mind what the specific numbers are, and then you have to get the numbers of the Tennessee High students' grades to compare to make sure you're effectively comparing. I don't think anybody's going to do that work, and I think our kids are just going to be disadvantaged.
I can't see the work being done when you had 20 kids applying for a scholarship or more, this one is on a different grading scale. I just don't see them taking the time to do that. Any other comment, question?
I think Mr. Goodpasture's comment is valid. I just think it's incredible obstacle to try to communicate that to the whole world every year. Is kind of the way I see it. But.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Yes?
No.
Yes.
Yes. All right, item 5C, approval of 2022-2023 Board Adopted Budget Revision Number 6.
Ms. Jones? 13th. And just to clarify that, we're not asking the city for $2.8 million. They just have to appropriate the money the state gives us before we can spend it.
All right, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the 2022-2023 Board Adopted Budget Revision Number 6.
Second.
Any discussions or questions? So the ADM number, is that lower than anticipated or higher or? Okay.
We anticipated 2080 or something is what we've been calculating off of, and it was at 2092. So
Okay. Okay. Any questions, comments? Ms. Jones?
Yes.
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 Yes. All right, item 5D, approval of establishment of City of Bristol Capital School Projects Fund bank account and School Nutrition Fund bank account.
Ms. Jones. Sorry.
These are the establishments of two different general fund, well, two different bank accounts. The one is the Capital School Projects Fund, and if you remember, we used to have that, and it was from the lottery construction money, so we utilized all that, so that went away. But then this year, we received a one-time school construction entitlement funds from the state of $1.5 million. And this was the funds that we said we would contribute towards the city for $500,000 for 3 years towards paying of the new school. So since it's unspent at June 30, state code requires us to put it in an escrow account. So
Okay.
we have to open a checking account that is in the name of the City of Bristol Capital School Projects Fund in order to put that 1.5 in for 30 years.
Okay.
The school nutrition fund bank account, we're moving it from it's currently decentralized, and where we're restructuring that department, it's now moving into the school system funds under the treasurer, which means we need to open a new account.
Okay. So we're opening two new accounts. All right, do we have a motion?
I make a motion that we approve these two funds. Can I say it short?
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, questions?
So that 2-minute tutorial really didn't explain it to me, but I trust our treasurer over there.
Mr. Goodpasture, so we got $1.5 million from a school construction grant at the beginning of this year. In order to carry it over, the state requires it be set in a separate account. if we didn't spend it this year. And since we didn't spend it this year, we're going to use it to pay towards the payment for the next 3 years of the new school. We've got to set up that account according to the
Following
state.
the directive.
Yeah, we're keeping you out of jail, sir.
Any other questions, comments? Ms. Jones?
Yes.
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 Yes. All right, item 5E, approval of contract purchase greater than $50,000, all-inclusive playground equipment, Phase 1, for $221,638.
Mr. Chairman, you have approved this by proxy so that we could get ahead, so they could get this delivered before the end of summer. But I know Dr. DeNabraga is very proud of the work that her committee has done to get this project underway, so I'll let her tell you a little bit about it.
So good evening, everyone. So this is a rendering of the playground that we're planning to put the Phase 1, which is at the Van Pelt site, at the current Van Pelt site. So we've made some changes to our original, the original proposal that was given to us, and that's what we're so excited about. So the first part is that the surface of that playground is fully accessible for any mobility device. And so the original rendering was only a pathway that would exclude part of the playground to children who needed a walker or needed a wheelchair. So this will allow them to get to every part of that playground. And actually, that was probably the most expensive, that is the most expensive piece of the playground, which is amazing. And the second thing that we made a change to was that we created an elevated play space. And so if you'll look at the two orange kind of benches facing each other, a wheelchair can actually wheel onto that and it moves. It kind of goes back and forth.
Oh, that's cool.
And the other piece is over on the right, the orange with the little roof at the top. Well, no, I don't think so. If you'll scroll down, or keep going. That in the back, that little round, that is also, it's, I can't remember what they actually call it, but the wheelchair or a walker can roll onto it and it spins.
It's a merry-go-round on flat ground.
Yeah. There's a special name for it. And then the slide is called a slide-aside. And so if you have a student who, we can't get the wheelchair all the way up to there, but if we can get the child up there to slide down, they can move to the side while other kids are still sliding to transfer them to whatever mobility device. So just a few tweaks, a lot of small tweaks, a lot of money, but it's really great, and our committee is really excited about it. So work is being started on that very, very soon.
That's good.
Is that pavement on the ground, or is it
It's a
fabric, or what?
It is a rubberized surface, so it's kind of compressed mulch, but it's rubberized and it's completely accessible.
So you can roll a wheelchair across that.
You can, but it's also soft, so in the event that there might be a fall that happens occasionally on a playground, it's not going to be too hard.
Do we have a motion?
I move to approve the purchase of the inclusive playground equipment. Is that wording okay?
I second it.
Any other questions?
I just want to say thank you to the committee. This is really exciting. I'm so excited to have this at our school.
Yeah, that's so neat, for the wheelchairs to be accessible, to get on those things, and I like the color too.
Yeah.
So that playground is going in between those wings?
No, sir. That was what I wanted to point out. This is going at Virginia Primary School, so Van Pelt.
Yeah.
So you know where the picnic shelter is out back?
Yeah.
Between the picnic shelter and the third grade wing, there's a flat space right there. So this one will be ready to roll, we hope, by the opening of school in the fall.
Okay, that was my question,
Yeah.
August.
And as you can see, that's more primary age focused, which we lost the primary playground whenever we started construction. So it'll replace that, have Van Pelt ready to roll, and then next summer is the one I mentioned earlier in the
And we'll still have the current playground equipment that's out there right now?
everything that's out there
Okay.
now, plus these two new. And so
Okay.
Bristol, Virginia is going to go from 0 inclusive playgrounds over the next 14 months to having 2 fully inclusive playgrounds over the next 14 months.
That's great.
Thank you. Before we vote, I got one more question. So looking at those 2 wings, is there going to be an access road or how are they going to get to it?
Sidewalk.
Sidewalks, okay. All right.
And there is some good green space behind that as well. So the sidewalk will take you to the playground or to the green space.
Space, okay, all right. Ms. Jones?
Yes.
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 Yes. All right. Item 5F, approval policy JHB, animals in the classroom. I'm sorry.
This goes without saying. We had an incident. Sometimes you're proactive with your policy, and sometimes you're reactive with your policy. This is an example of the latter.
All right. Do we have a motion?
Yeah, I move we approve the policy JHB, animals in the classroom.
Second.
A second. Any questions or discussion?
Are we talking mammals, reptiles, what?
I think all the above. All the above. We're not banning animals in the classroom, but we're creating a procedure that makes sure that all stakeholders are involved in the decision-making process to have animals in the classroom.
It says animals other than fish. So we have no snakes loose in the school anymore.
Reptiles.
I'm all for that. Any other questions? Ms. Jones?
Yes.
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 Yes. We should have added, and also at graduation. too.
graduation.
Graduation.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. Item 5G, approval of contract purchase greater than $50,000. Dell Latitude 3440 laptops, student use, $382,380.
Mr. Chairman, as Jeff comes up to answer any questions that you may have about this is another supply chain issue that we asked you for proxy approval for, making that approval official tonight.
This is the purchase we do every year since we've done one-to-one. So we will put these computers in 6th grade with 6th graders, 9th graders, and 11th graders. And then what we do is the high school computers, since they go home, the high school and middle school computers go home, we try to keep them under warranty. So we put the new ones there. And then as they either get to 8th grade, they go down to elementary. When they get to past 10th, they go to elementary. And then when they get to 12th, those computers go to elementary. And it just makes sense because we don't let elementary kids take the computers home. They don't get broken because they're in carts and stuff like that. So we just do that to save money.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion that we approve a contract purchase greater than $50,000 for the computers.
Second.
Any questions, comments for Jeff? All right, Ms. Jones. Thank you, Jeff. Ms. Jones?
Yes.
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 Yes. All right, item 5H, approval of revision of policy GCQAB, tutoring for pay.
Mr. Chairman, we currently, policy GCQAB allows our employees, our teachers, to only be paid for tutoring their students if they're being paid by us. However, the governor has set aside several $1 million that will allow our teachers to be paid by the Virginia Department of Education to tutor students in order to alleviate learning loss. Even though the Department of Ed made it possible to do so, our policy forbade it. So we added or the Virginia Department of Education to this policy, so now our teachers can do that and be in compliance both with VDOE and BVPS.
Isn't that like a parent grant or something like that?
Yes, sir. Families, depending on income, each child is eligible for a $1,500 grant, or if they're below the federal poverty line, a $3,000 grant. And then they can either hire Sylvan Learning Center to provide that tutoring, or they can hire any licensed teacher who is approved. And so we've encouraged our teachers to get on the approved list because nobody knows our students any better than them. Under our current policy, though, they wouldn't have been able to accept that pay.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
I move we approve the amended policy GCQAB.
A second?
I'll second.
Question, discussion?
I'm still a little confused. So what does this prevent?
It does not prevent anything, it allows. Currently, our policy prevents, if Mr. Ashbrook wants to take advantage of the Virginia Department of Education grant to tutor a student, our policy does not allow him to be paid by it currently. We made an adjustment to the policy that allows him to be paid by the Virginia Department of Education to provide tutoring.
Okay. Thank you.
So he gets paid outside the school system?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
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 Yes. All right, item 5I, approval of granting superintendent permission to hire new employees between June 6th, 2023 and July 10th, 2023 in consultation with the school board.
Mr. Chairman, the only thing I would suggest adding is maybe adding interim superintendent / interim superintendent, because you'll have two people in that position between that time.
Right. So let me rephrase that. Item 5I, approval of granting superintendent / interim superintendent permission to hire new employees between June 6th, 2023 and July 10th, 2023 in consultation with the school board. Do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any comments, questions? All right. Ms. Jones?
Yes.
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 Yes. All right, item 5J, approval of contract purchase greater than $50,000, Simplex Johnson Controls Fire System at Van Pelt Elementary School, the amount of $58,595.
Mr. Chairman, this upgrade is in order to remain in compliance with fire code, and we do have a sole source letter for the system that will be installed.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion that we approve the contract purchase of the Simplex Johnson Controls Fire System.
Second.
Any questions, discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Jones?
Yes.
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 Yes. All right, item 6 is closed session. Ms. Hubbard, you read us in?
Maybe, if I can get it. Pursuant to Section 2.2-3711A1 of the Code of Virginia, I move that the board convene a closed meeting for the purpose of discussing the following matters: discussion of certain personnel, recommendation for employment, and resignations.
Second.
Motion is second. Ms. Jones?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
I think so.
Yes.
I think it is. I said I was
All right.
doing it, so.
Thanks, everyone, for coming, and with that, we'll go to closed session.
Mr. Alves.
Hubbard, you read us in?
The Bristol, Virginia School Board certifies that, to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed in the closed meeting, and only such public matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were considered.
Second.
Motion is second. Ms. Jones?
Yes.
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 Yes. Do I have a motion to approve attachment A?
I move we approve attachment A.
Second.
Motion is second. Ms. Jones?
Yes.
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 Yes. All right.
4-1.
4-1.